Yo, you have to see this anime-style drawing I made. I never thought I could draw like this, but I learned using this awesome course called the Anime Express Method. And trust me, it actually works. Now, here's the best part. They're running a limited time pre-holiday deal, and the course is basically free. You only pay $7 for the platform fee, and that's it. No hidden stuff. It's like they're giving it away. If you've ever dreamed of drawing anime characters, the cool eyes, the dynamic poses, the whole vibe, this is your shot. Seriously, I couldn't draw anything like this before I tried it. But heads up, this promo can end any moment, so if you're even a little interested, now's the time. Don't miss out and regret it later. Click the link, join the course, and start drawing anime today. Let's see what you can create. Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. Thinking about what we've seen so far, I believe that Trafalgar D. Waterlaw's fate might be far more intertwined with the Straw Hats than anyone could have imagined. Ever since we last saw him in Chapter 1081, being ambushed and defeated by Blackbeard, it became clear that Law has reached a breaking point. He, who was always driven by his quest for revenge against Doflamingo, and who always kept emotional distance from true alliances, now finds himself without a crew, without a ship, and perhaps without a clear direction. But what Law has always had, even in his worst moments, is the ability to rebuild himself. And I think that now, after such a deep loss, his rebuilding might involve something he has always resisted accepting, truly belonging to a family. Not just leading a crew that bore his burdens, but becoming part of something greater. He and his companions might truly join the Straw Hats for good. When we go back to the beginning of this relationship, back in Chapter 504 at Sabaudi Archipelago, Law already showed a special curiosity towards Luffy. It was different from how he treated other supernovas. Later, in Chapter 595, when he saves Luffy and Jinbe from the Marines, it becomes even clearer that Law saw something in Luffy that he himself couldn't fully understand. Maybe a kind of freedom that Law never allowed himself to feel. Even during the alliance to take down Kaido in Chapter 698, Law remained cautious, always trying to make it clear that it was only a temporary arrangement. But the bonds formed in Punk Hazard, Dressrosa, and Wano were not superficial. Law fought side by side with Luffy and his crew, trusted them in moments where trust was the only option and was trusted back, even when he didn't ask for it. Now, thinking about what happened on Winter Island, where Blackbeard ambushed the Heart Pirates, it seems almost inevitable to imagine that Law, after losing most of his crew and being left powerless, will have to reevaluate who he really is. In Chapter 1081, we see that even as he falls, Law is still respected. But that silent pride of his may have been broken. And perhaps, with that pride broken, something new can emerge. I think that maybe for the first time, Law will understand that he doesn't have to carry everything alone. If we look at the profile of the Straw Hats, none of them are people who simply follow orders. Each one has their own dreams, their own reasons for sailing. Law, who always saw himself as a leader, might realize that with Luffy, it's not about following blindly. It's about walking together. And I think that's where the idea of him asking to join Luffy's crew starts to make sense. Not as someone who has lost his purpose, but as someone who finally understands that some paths don't have to be walked alone. Besides that, Law's thirst for revenge against Blackbeard still burns inside him. And if there's anything the story of One Piece teaches us, it's that the greatest battles are won together. Law knows that facing Blackbeard alone would be suicide. But alongside Luffy, already seen as one of the new emperors, and alongside a crew that includes Zoro, Sanji, Jinbe, and other monsters, the chance for revenge becomes a real possibility. Perhaps not just blind revenge, but a pursuit of true justice. Something that Law has always carried deep inside, even when he got lost in his own methods. In Chapter 1063, when Blackbeard intercepts Law, their conversation shows that Blackbeard doesn't see Law as someone to be ignored. He knows the potential of the Ope Ope no Mi's power. And the very fact that Law fought him almost evenly, even though he was defeated, shows how incredibly strong he has become. He is not an ordinary defeated man. He's a natural commander, a battle surgeon, someone capable of turning the tide at critical moments, and maybe that's exactly what Luffy's crew is missing right now. Someone who understands surgical strategies, who knows exactly when and how to act to change the course of the final battle. I think that when Law comes before Luffy to ask to join, he won't do it with dramatic words. He would probably just say something like, "I need your help," or "I'll stick with you until we settle the score." Because Law isn't the type for grand speeches, he acts. And Luffy, who has always welcomed people for who they are and not for what they have done, wouldn't hesitate for even a second to accept him. Because Luffy understands that people change and that scars do not define someone's worth. There's another point that might be highly relevant. The great final battle that's approaching. With the world government mobilizing its forces, with the Holy Knights appearing on the horizon and Imu at the center of a conspiracy that spans generations, it will take much more than brute strength to win. It will require intelligence, strategy, and unlikely alliances. Law brings not just power to the table, but knowledge. He is a D. He carries in his name the burden and the promise of the inherited will. And even if he doesn't fully understand it yet, maybe fate is pushing him toward where he was always meant to be. If we look at the Wano chapters, especially chapter 956, when the world starts to fall apart with the abolition of the Shichibukai, and chapter 1054, when the world government starts taking desperate measures to erase information, we can see that the balance has been broken. The world needs new alliances, new symbols of hope, and I think that maybe Law will find in the Straw Hats not just a way to avenge his companions, but a new purpose. Maybe he will become more than just a temporary ally. Maybe for the first time, Law will allow himself to truly be part of something greater, and that, in the end, could make all the difference. Because in the world of One Piece, where the past weighs like invisible chains and the future is a promise few can reach, finding a true home is the greatest victory of all. The path of Trafalgar D. Waterlaw has always been marked by loneliness and an unrelenting pursuit of justice and revenge, but also by a constant inner struggle between being a leader or simply belonging to something greater. When we analyze Law's journey, from his first encounters with Luffy to his recent defeat at the hands of the Blackbeard, it's clear that he has always been on the verge of something transformative. Confronted with the loss of his crew and the imminent collapse of his vision of justice, Law finds himself, perhaps for the first time, in a position of vulnerability and uncertainty. And it is precisely at this breaking point that the possibility of a new beginning arises. Law joining the Straw Hats wouldn't just be a merging of forces to fight common enemies, but an essential step toward building a future where the bonds between members become fundamental for final victory. Luffy's Grand Fleet, increasingly vast and diverse, needs not only allies, but people who genuinely care for each other, who share the same purpose, and who know how to work together. Law, with his unique abilities and sharp strategic mind, fits perfectly into this scenario, but his true transformation might come from somewhere deeper and more personal. In the most recent chapters, we have seen how Luffy and his friends' willpower has been able to overcome unimaginable challenges. The crew, formed by characters who initially came from completely different backgrounds, has always maintained their unity as the foundation to overcome obstacles and grow. Each one of the Straw Hats, with their own dreams and goals, understands the importance of supporting one another. In this sense, Law could learn that true strength does not lie solely in his ability to operate and cut with precision, but in his capacity to trust and unite with others. This transformation of Law from someone who rejected the idea of belonging to someone who accepts being part of a team is not a simple change, but it is one that has already begun to take shape. Luffy, with his welcoming nature and deep understanding of friendship and sacrifice, has the ability to show Law that he can be part of something greater without losing his identity. The captain of the Straw Hats has never demanded that his friends change their convictions or abandon their dreams. Instead, Luffy embraced them for who they were, with all their complexities, flaws, and virtues. And perhaps it is exactly this philosophy that will make Law finally realize that he doesn't have to walk his path alone. Luffy's Grand Fleet, now composed of countless ships and alliances around the world, is a reflection of the crew's growth. By accepting Law, Luffy would not only be adding an exceptional strategist to his forces, but also an ally who carries the weight of a powerful lineage in his name. The D, the symbol of the Will of D, is something that so far Luffy has awakened in the hearts of those who join him. And Law, with his own historical weight, would uniquely fit into this movement. In many ways, Law represents the balance between reason and emotion, between personal struggle and collective fight. Like Luffy, he has his own ghosts and debts to settle. The difference is that while Luffy learned early on to value freedom and friendship, Law had to endure many losses to understand the worth of those same things. The power dynamics within the crew would also greatly benefit from this alliance. Zoro, Sanji, Jinbe, and the other members not only enhance Luffy's fighting strength, but also offer different perspectives and abilities. Law's addition to this scenario would add a crucial strategic layer, as his skills with the Ope no Mi could be decisive in critical battles, such as the ones looming against the world government and its forces. He is not just a capable fighter, but someone who can change the course of a confrontation with surgical precision. In moments of great challenges, this ability to manipulate the battlefield and perform critical operations could be the key difference between victory and defeat. More importantly, Law's tactical understanding might be the missing element to complete the puzzle that Luffy and his companions have been putting together throughout their adventures. However, perhaps Law's greatest contribution to Luffy's Grand Fleet may not even lie in his combat skills or strategy, but in his deep understanding of the gears that move the world. As someone who has endured a brutal system of manipulation and oppression, such as the Shichibukai system and the investigation surrounding the Ope no Mi, Law possesses privileged knowledge about the world government and the forces that operate from the shadows. He is one of the few who can provide Luffy with vital information about the inner workings of these structures, and in some way, help dismantle this corrupt system. Furthermore, Law's friendship with other characters like Corvo and his knowledge of the pirate world itself could translate into unexpected alliances that extend beyond Luffy's immediate circle. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.